What is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How are all you beautiful people doing on the interwebs, man? Shout out to everybody watching live. Shout out to everybody that's watching on the replay. As you guys can see, no guests this week. No guests this week, man. We got the original three amigos rocking out, but I love it this way. We got to do this every now and then just to get our opinions and, kind of bounce things off each other. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. We back to a regular kind of a schedule, this third week in a row. So we feeling real good. And we got a lot to cover this week, man. We got a lot to cover this week. But once again, hit that like button, subscribe if you're enjoying the show. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. Best place to come get your gaming news on Saturday evenings. And I got my two best friends, my brothers, all the adjectives and nouns that you can think of with me, man. So let me go ahead and go around the horn here. Shout out to my boy Fuzz coming through. I see you still out of town, bro, but you're hanging out with us. You coming live. But how you been, man? What you been up to?
Oh man, it's great to be here with you guys. Just been, out here with the wife in Baltimore for Monster Mania 60. It's almost like a Scream original cast reunion kind of deal, as well as a lot of other celebrities for like Christine and a few other movies and stuff. But just having a fun time out here, getting some selfies, some autographs, getting some cool T-shirts and hoodies and some other posters and things. But man, just been watching Twitter implode on itself with people not enjoying games for whatever reason. It's the same people that probably didn't enjoy the original version of a game or the base version of a game, not enjoying the DLC. Who would have thought? But we'll get into it. But just glad to be here with you two guys. So, and thanks to everybody in the chat. Yeah, we're going to have a good time tonight.
Definitely, man. Shout out to you coming live. You're not even at the crib, but you still make it happen, Fuzz. I appreciate that, man. So shout out to you. Shout out to, you guys can go follow Fuzz too. You already know what to do, man. A staple here at the Shop Podcast. And my other brother, Mr. Pong. So how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. I just don't know why Fuzzy's lying. We all saw him last night. He's at Diddy's, okay? So he's at it all white.
Whoa, the allegation.
Yeah. No, we saw it last night.
He did look a little. You did look a little shiny. You looked a little moisturized.
Oh, yeah. And see, again, I told everybody in the chat last night at Xbox Ultimate, you saw the curtain behind him. I said he showed us before the show. That's just all baby oil back there, man. That's all it is. So he's been lying the whole time. He ain't in no stupid monster show with his wife. He's hanging with Diddy this weekend. Anyways. Buzz, it's great to have you here, though, brother. Glad you could make it with us. It would have been a small show. It had just been me and PTK again, man. Holy shit. But shout out to everybody for joining us. Yeah, man, it's been a week, man. Like Fuzzy said, a lot of discourse again, of course, in this community. Steele and I talked about it this morning. We actually started the show off on Starfield stuff. We actually, out of order, we didn't even talk about what we've been playing. We just jumped right into it this morning because I was fired up.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, no, Starfield just brings out the best of everybody, I guess, or the worst.
Seems like it, right?
How you look at it. Yeah. So, but, yeah, that's always going to happen. But gaming-wise, man, let me tell you something. Yeah, I have got so many games and so little time. It's not even funny anymore. So, yeah, our History Untold spent a lot of time in that this week for, when I say a lot of time, the hours that I do have, the couple hours I have after work. I've been spending time there, 13 hours in Aura History Untold. It's only on PC. It's coming to, they're hoping to have it on console next year. I hope they do too. 4X strategy game. You guys have heard me talk about this. It is a beautiful game. And it is a fantastic game. And it is an addicting game. And it eats up hours. Oxide Games, a lot of former Civ devs know what they're doing. And I was a little surprised now that I've put some time into it by some of the mixed reviews on it. But I can understand some of it for sure of what people were talking about. But others, I don't know what exactly they were playing because what I'm playing here is a freaking fantastic alternative to Civ with twists and spins on a lot of what is pretty regular mechanics in most 4X strategy games. Oxide has turned some things on their head. They have done some very cool ideas here. And 14 hours, and I'm at turn 200 or right around turn 200 in the opening game. Okay, so again, they give you the tutorial. You run through the tutorial while you're playing. I am still in that game. This is what 4X strategy is. This is like playing Risk back in the day. Those of us old enough to remember playing the board game Risk, you know how long those
Yes,
games
sir.
can take. Okay, or you get in one of those games of Monopoly that goes for 10 hours, right?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. But Risk for sure. But this is what it's about. This is why Mav and I love these games. They are ever different every time you jump into them, even against the AI. They never play the same. No two games finish the same. But you get this time sink where you look down. You may have made 10, 15 moves, strategizing everything out, figuring out what you're going to do. 10, 15 moves, you look down at the clock, it's been 2.5 hours, right? That's just what happens in these games. So I've been having a blast with that. Otherwise, the one I'm selling this week, PTK, is
Yes,
one
sir.
that dropped this week that everybody should pick up. It's out on everything right now. It's not going to be for everybody, so I can't say that everybody should buy it because it's not going to be for everybody. But Kill Knight came out this week. This indie title is special. These devs are cool. I watched a stream with them while they had an interviewer and they were all switching off the controller, passing it around, taking turns. Kill Knight is worth the $15 price of admission. It is out on PC. It is on Xbox. It is on PlayStation. I believe it's on Switch. I could be wrong about that. It is everywhere. But man, this is a shmup. Shoot 'em up, right? Back in the day, shoot 'em up. But it is way different because you are basically a death knight fighting your way through hell. So it is ground-based. This isn't your typical JRP, Japanese shmup from back in the day where you're, a sci-fi space. So you had your spaceship and you're fighting off bullet hell.
Yeah.
No. You're in the bowels of hell fighting off some weird, well, at least it starts out with some bug-looking things that you're fighting off. Some of them can shoot things. Some of them just come in for the attack. But you've got dodge, you've got parry, you've got melee weapon, you've got secondary weapon, and you got primary weapon. And they all act differently, and you open up more in each one of those, and you open up armor classes. You open up all different
You
types
speaking
of
my
things.
language now, brother.
Yeah. But you are confined to a very small area. You are, again, it's a shmup. So it's a bullet hell is what we used to call them, or shmups. You are moving at all times, getting in, getting out, moving through mobs, figuring out how you're going to use the different weapons. When you use your secondary weapon, which is, start out with a shotgun, so you got nice wide, short range, but you can take out mobs that way. You run out of ammo, so then you got to go to the melee, because the melee, as you kill them with the melee, they drop bullets for your secondary. You don't get the bullets any other way. So you got strategy, layers of strategy, but this game performs extremely well. It is short runs. This is one of those games you pick up, decide how many runs you want to make. You want to make one, you got 5 minutes on the toilet, man, you can make a run. You can make a run in this game. That's what it's about, right? So Steel right now, I'm chasing him down, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it because this man's already put over 10 hours in this. But Steel's hooked. Steel didn't remember this is one of the ones we saw. He wound up picking it up thinking it was a different one, but he's hooked. He loved it. He absolutely loves this game. But his longest run so far is a little over 6 minutes. So that's what the runs wind up being. But you get into a flow or a dance, like we like to say, once you start getting all the mechanics down. But it's easy to pick up. It's one of those easy to pick up but hard to master games. But well worth the $15, bro. I mean, go support these devs. These devs are passionate about this.
They're cooking,
cool
man.
guys. Yeah,
These double A's and indies. We've been saying it for like 5 years now, realistically.
So good, man. So good. Yeah. Another game just came. Again, we saw it at the showcase. I think we saw it at the summer showcase, the Keeleys. I think where we saw it, and we all, I think, to a T, all said it stood out to us at that time. And then, like any other, smaller game, you get the big games start rolling out, and everybody kind of forgets about the indie games. I've had my eye on this one, so I was waiting on it. I am not disappointed. I am pissed off because I am getting older. I don't have the hand-eye that I used to when I played shmups. So chasing down Steel is getting me frustrated because he is just ridiculous, but it is still a blast to play, and it's got this cool aesthetic. It's not like some mind-boggling graphic showpiece or anything like that. It's an indie, so it's got the older style to it, but they did it really uniquely with the color palette that's all reds and off whites and blacks and dark gray. Like, it's super cool. So go check out Kill Knight, everybody. Again, $15. You'll get your money's worth out of it if you have any interest in it whatsoever. Easy.
Awesome, man. And that is your advertisement for the day. We don't run ads, but we do ads every now and then. Pong has an ad every Saturday, so we want to make sure we get that in. But appreciate you, Pong, man. I got to check that one out. I completely forgot about it once again. I fell into the same cycle you just described. Big games start rolling out, and you forget about some of these other games that we see at these showcasing events. But let's get into it, man. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to chat. You guys are freaking amazing. Seeing some new faces and names, man. Once again, I appreciate every single one of you showing up, hanging out with us here every single Saturday, man. But let's get into it, and we are doing exactly what you and Steel did, because I got to get some things off my chest about this Shattered Space Starfield stuff. So I just kind of want to frame this. Just start off. Everybody has their own opinion, right? Like, everybody has their own opinion. We all play different things. We all don't like the same things, right? Let's just get that shit out of the way. So let's push that to the side a little bit. What I am seeing happening to Starfield is just a continuation of what happened with what the energy that started as soon as we saw that tweet a couple years ago saying, "Welcome to the family, Bethesda." That's where the energy started. And, I don't care much about, Metacritics and ratings, but they do give an indication of equality and just an idea from the outside looking in, if you haven't played the game, of what you should expect, right? That's kind of what I use Metacritic and those things like for. It's not never the end all be all, just kind of get a general idea. And a 5 game, Pong, a game that gets rated a 5 is basically unplayable in this day and age. That's basically what you're saying. Because a 5 it might as well be a 1, right, Pong? Plus, it might as well be a 1 at this point, because we don't use the 1 to 10 scale. They use the 5 to 10 scale nowadays. 5 is basically 1. So if you're going to give something like this as polished as a Starfield DLC, Shattered Space, and I haven't played it. I've watched a ton of gameplay. I ain't played it yet, but it doesn't look anything like some of the discourse that I'm seeing. So I just want to get you guys' opinions real quick. And chat, let me know what you guys think about the DLC. If you've played it, just your opinion. You don't got to give a review or anything, but just some of the stuff you've been seeing. But I'm going to start with you, Pong. We jumping off the porch with this one, brother. I know you're a big Bethesda fan. The good thing about you, brother, is that your honesty and your integrity matters more than your fandom. And I appreciate that about you. Even if you're a big Bethesda fan. Like, we all know that. Nobody can argue that at all. It's not debatable. But you will call them out. You will hold their feet to the fire when necessary.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see where your energy at, seeing all of this ridiculousness.
Well, according to some people, I'm not. That stirred up again this week too. This is an echo chamber. This is from somebody that claims that they listen to our shows nonstop, and I'm like, then how did you not hear all of this criticism that I did level at it?
For like 2 years straight, he was criticizing. Come on now,
bro. It's so crazy. It's, again, people always hear what they want to hear out here. Anyways, as far as Starfield goes, listen, this shouldn't be a shock to anybody. The people that have been disappointed in Starfield are still disappointed in Starfield. That's not going to change. Would it be fantastic? Would it have been absolutely incredible? Right? If Shattered Space started the Cyberpunk turnaround for Starfield, where all of a sudden those people that were disappointed in it started changing their mind. Of course it would be. Would Todd and Bethesda love that? Of course they would love that, right? But the facts are the facts. Bethesda has come out now multiple times. There's been a couple more interviews lately. There's been some more tweets from some of the team over at Bethesda. They made the game that they wanted to make. This is Todd's baby from the ground up, the first real IP that he has started from the ground up. They did things that they knew weren't going to appeal to everybody in the Bethesda fan base. They knew that there was going to be things that they did that they think that they did very well, that parts of the fan base are going to say that doesn't work for us. So they have been straight up about this since the beginning, and that's another point I've made from the get-go. I don't even consider the clown show, the fanboys who never had an interest in this game because it's not on their platform of choice. So they're just going to trash it no matter what. If anybody else wants to take their opinions as serious, be my guest. Feel free to do so. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you to not listen to anybody. I really don't care.
Yeah.
But I don't even take those guys into consideration. So I'm just looking at the rest of everybody, right? And Shattered Space, obviously, for a group of people, including the reviewers, didn't do anything different to change their minds about Starfield. And in fact, now that it is common knowledge that Starfield, wasn't necessarily beloved across the board by everybody, now it's open season. So when Shattered Space comes out and does have performance issues, which I have seen, I've watched plenty of people, I haven't played it yet either myself. I'm not ready to when I jump back in, I got too many games right now. If I jump back into Starfield, it's over with. I'm going to be sucked back into that game and it's going to be done. So I have not done it myself. But I've seen enough people playing it to understand that there are performance issues, and that needs to be cleaned up. That is on Bethesda.
Absolutely.
And it's unacceptable. Again, it's just like every other game that comes out in 2024 now. I don't understand why you guys think this is acceptable to drop this shit. I don't, when it is literally at some points dropping down to 15 frames. But the facts are that's going to knock, in any reasonable mind, a point off max, maybe a point and a half, depending on how annoyed the person is. But to see the fives and to see these low scores, two,
that's crazy.
I think I saw two. Listen,
I've seen some threes, some fours, and I'm like, is this like, so the game's unplayable? Is it broken?
Yeah, no. It's because, again, it's now accepted that this is Starfield's fate. So now the reviewers that do want to pile on are going to pile on even more so because, like you said, PTK, I don't think anybody in their right mind can say this game in today's current climate. I don't care what I know the naysayers come out and go, but that's not what the reviews really mean. That's not what those scores mean. Listen, y'all, it is widely, commonly accepted that a 5 is a terrible game.
Absolutely.
Okay? It is widely accepted. Okay? Like PTK said, that game is probably broken at parts, if not broken. But it is widely accepted that that is not a game you go spend money on. And I can't believe that the Shattered, because I've seen too many people, right, that agree with me or lean my way, that enjoyed Starfield, that jumped into Shattered Space, that aren't necessarily giving it 10s across the board. It's not perfect, but they are having a good time with this DLC and saying it's a really cool experience. It might be a little bit on the short end, but the setting and all that kind of stuff is dope, and people are having a fun time. And they're saying it's much harder than the main storyline. So I've seen too many people enjoy it who are actually enjoyers of Starfield. Again, not going the opposite direction and being extreme and going, oh, this is a perfect expansion. I've never seen anything like this. My God, Bethesda's, done a Witcher 3 type DLC here. I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing people say, man, love Starfield, love the Shattered Space DLC. It's doing really well. So for me, that's where I probably am sure going to fall into once I start playing it. So I just look at it and I go, okay, so the same people that didn't like it before still don't like it, and the people that do like it are enjoying themselves with the DLC. Neither of those two things should be shocking to anybody. That's the way it usually goes. Again, why the problem I have, again, not focused on the fanboys at all. Like the fanboys, I don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
But there is also a group of people who I don't think are necessarily in that category of fanboys, but they really can't let Starfield go. And I think that's the group that's really weird to me, is that anytime, and this, we saw this with Cyberpunk on a whole nother level, right? But it's the people that said, oh, Starfield's a dead game. Nobody cares anymore. It's gone. This disappointed me. Bethesda's on a decline. I sure hope I get a good game in Elder Scrolls 6. But Starfield is not I don't want this trash. This is mid. I don't know what Todd's doing. Those people, why when Starfield drops a new DLC, are you back out with the pitchforks and the torches on a game you don't care about anymore? On a game that is dead to you, right? Why? What? You've got 1,000 games to play right now, right? And you're out here still pitchforking Starfield because the DLC dropped, a DLC that none of you are going to play because you said you're done with Starfield. So it's not going to be anything you invest in, but you're going to pitchfork this thing again all over? Like, that's just weird energy to me. I just don't understand why you're beating dead horses, at least a horse that's dead to you, even though there is a vibrant community around Starfield that absolutely love it. Steel brought it up today.
Yeah.
There's 500 pages of mods. Okay, you don't get 500 pages of mods on a game unless there is a community of people who actually are enjoying the hell out of that game. Okay, that doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen with every game. That's a lot of mods for Starfield.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a vibrant community around this game, and we are going to continue to enjoy the game as we all are want to do.
Absolutely.
This game is going to continue to live on. Get ready, buckle up, because from what everything that Bethesda's saying, this is the third leg in the rotation now. So guess what? In about 12 years from now, you're going to get Starfield 2, whether you like it or not. I hope they speed up this whole dev process and we don't have to wait 12 years. But at some point down the road, you are going to get a Starfield 2. And it is going to be in line, just like the Fallout, just like the Elder Scrolls series. So you guys are going to have to wait on your other two series. So, I mean, just get ready for it. I mean, but again, this game is going to continue to change. It's going to continue to evolve. There could be a time frame where it does have a turnaround. Their MO, again, is that even games left for the dead, like Fallout 76, somehow find a resurrection under Bethesda because they keep working on it, because they keep investing in it. This is something that I gotta say, PTK, is the biggest thing that people forget is they continue, much like Microsoft, and we've talked about a bunch of their first party studios who continue to invest in their games even when they don't hit initially or even when they start small. Bethesda continues to pump their games. Now, we know there was a decision internally. Phil, it was in the docs. When they bought Bethesda, there was a time when the question was, do we kill off 76? Well, guess what? They didn't. They continued to work on it. The show shows up, and all of a sudden,
boom,
76. Now, people went back to it. A lot of people who had played it in the beginning and said it was terrible, not my Fallout. I hate this game. What the hell is Todd doing out here? They finally went back to it just because of the show, and were like, oh shit, they changed this entire game. Yeah, they've been telling
Look at all this content. Goddamn, where does DLC come from?
Everybody's been telling you it's been changed, but you didn't want to jump back into it because you had written it off. So all those people came back, plus all the new people came back, and all the new people were like, I have no idea why people were saying this is a bad game. This is a freaking fantastic game. Holy shit, this is Fallout. It's Fallout with more people. It's great. The community's awesome in here. Yes, that's the other thing. Bethesda has great communities. So that game was written off. Fallout 4, again, had the same type of talk. People, if you weren't old enough at the time to understand what Fallout 4 did, it sold incredibly well. It sold like 20 million in the first couple weeks or whatever the hell it was. It sold incredibly well. But after the initial love phase for the first couple weeks, and the month went by and 2 months went by, there started a dissension, because then people were like, what the hell did you do to my Fallout, Todd? You took out the RPG aspects, Todd. I want my Fallout 3 back. People hated the base building in Fallout 4. Fallout 4 got destroyed after a period of time, and it was much like Starfield. It's different because now we got social media, because it was all up front for Starfield. But Fallout 4 was the same way. You had a group of core Bethesda fans, right, that still loved Fallout 4 and said, hey, not all the changes for me, but I still love the game. It's still my open world. It's still Bethesda title. It's still Todd. It's still Fallout. I love it. It's different, but it's good, right? They changed some things. Okay, I can live with it. And people enjoyed the hell out of it. Some people thought it was awesome. And then there was a group, though, however, that had split away from the pack and said, no, we hate this. We want Fallout 3. What'd you do? Right? So there was a lot of the same discussion. Well, guess what? The show shows up. Fallout 4 got worked on, had 2 great DLC drops in Far Harbor, and I forget the other one. Actually, I think it had 3 drops. I can't remember specifically, but Far Harbor is the most important one. Far Harbor came out. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people never played it because they had already written off Fallout 4, but a lot of people loved it. Some people jumped back in for it, found love in it, all that kind of stuff. But that was just a DLC too. But the show shows up. Old people, new people start going back and playing Fallout 4 again and going, holy shit, this is a great freaking game. This is a Bethesda game. Holy shit, it's really cool. Like, we're good. Maybe we were a little too hard on Fallout 4, right? There was articles written. Maybe we were just a little too harsh. I can see the same thing happen to Starfield down the road at some point. Do I think it's going to have a Cyberpunk turnaround? No, I don't think it's probably going to do that. Do I think that it's going to do what Bethesda titles do, though, which is live on, be supported by the modding community and by Bethesda themselves, continue to be updated, change, new things added, etc. And 5 years from now, 10 years from now, people are still going to be playing in that world. People are still going to be discovering things in that world. And new people are going to be jumping in going, geez, why did everybody rip on this game? This game's really freaking fun. Look at all the shit I could do. Yes, I do think that is going to happen down the road, just like it's happened with all these other Bethesda titles. I'll leave it there. I said a lot, but
No, you're good, brother.
it's like I said, the weirdos are the ones that wrote off this game that have no intention of playing it anymore. That again aren't just fanboys, just blindly hating. They actually probably did buy it, tried it, just didn't like what they played, which is something that again Todd and Bethesda knew was going to happen with this one because it's different. The exploration isn't the same. They had to.
Part of that is the appeal, though, right? So this is the other thing. So let me just throw something at you. I know you were trying to wrap it up here. I'm sorry, but let me throw something else at you. So if you look at Starfield as an experience, now I know maybe this is a little bit too artistic for some people. There's still no other space RPG that offers the smorgasbord of things Starfield does.
Yeah.
There's very few single player games that offer the smorgasbord of things that Starfield is. It's capable. All the content from the DLC, from the physics, from the exploration, the third person, first person, being able to seamlessly switch between the two, the gameplay, the weapon combat, the enemies. Like there's very few games that are operating at that level and still continuing to build on top of themselves. And I just think that sometimes, man, that gets lost in the sauce. Like you said, the game comes out, understanding, Todd, I would like to think that they understood that, everybody wasn't going to love the game because it was a different experience. And being Bethesda, unfortunately, when you set the bar that high, like a Skyrim, Fallout, it's almost unattainable to get back to that point, because at that point people are caught up in the emotion that they felt when they played the game, and it's hard to get that back. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to get that emotion back, and a lot of gamers are like that. But I just think a lot of it's just follow the leader. It feels like it to me. I never criticize anybody's opinion. You have your own opinion, and I agree with you 1,000% about, there are some things about the game that people just didn't like, and that's fine. But I feel like a whole lot of it's just follow the leader, brother. Sure. Like there's no way. And that's not like a 5. Like Gollum was a 6.
Yeah, no, Concord got higher.
Come on,
this is where the ratings just don't make sense anymore. This is why we've been calling for an adjustment and reviewing processes for a long time now, because none of this makes sense anymore. But even at face value, yeah, you're right, PTK, and a lot of what you just said, and I agree wholeheartedly. Bethesda creates games that are true role-playing experiences. You get to be a part of the world how you want to experience it. Starfield took that to a new level, and if you're just the person that played it for the exploration and you felt the missing handcrafted parts of a Bethesda title, because thousands of planets, there was no way they were going to handcraft everything. They went to the procedural generation. It's not on one landmass. It is across full out planets. Now the exploration, I said that from the beginning. I understand why people had an issue with that. But there was so much more to the game and so many different things to play. Polly Baba in the chat. Shout out to you, Polly.
You can't shrink Starfield, though. Imagine you try and shrink Starfield to one planet.
I was thinking about this today. But shout out to Polly, too. He said he didn't do any base building in Fallout 4, and he hasn't done any base building in Starfield, and he's loving both of them. Again, that's a choice you get to make. You don't have to do any of that stuff, right? That's the best part. You get to do what you want to in most Bethesda titles. I think that, what was I just going to say? I was thinking about what you just said there, PTK. You couldn't shrink it down. I was thinking about how I was literally trying to think outside the box, what Bethesda could have done. Mm-hmm. The only thing I came up with, and there's a lot of problems with it, right? But it might have worked for the majority of people, maybe, if they done it right. The only thing they could have done was limit the initial story run down to a certain section of space, maybe 10 planets, across 10 planets. Handcrafted the quests across those areas, still gave you the freedom to fly where you want to, but then when you completed and got to like the end point, then all of space opened up. Now, again, this goes against the story. I get that, even though
you're good.
I understand what the main story is, right? Again, I'm just trying to think out the box of what they could have done. Had they somehow limited your starting point with the main missions down to a certain sector, even let's say they gave you the full freedom to go wherever you wanted to, but everything took place on 5 to 10 planets between all the factions, between everything else, so they could handcraft a bunch of stuff, and then the rest was for the people who wanted to zoom off into space and go explore and go do all that shit. Had they just done it that way, where it felt like people could keep themselves contained within a smaller area, that's the only way I came up with. Like, that's how they could have done it.
The problem with that, though, is that completely undermines Todd's vision for the game.
Obviously. I was trying to think outside the box and thinking it done differently. But no, obviously Todd's vision was this. This is what he wanted, and it makes sense because, again, he wanted a grounded, reality-based, semi-reality-based space travel game that was built upon the backs of grounded movies and books and not super sci-fi stuff, right? He didn't want to go into the fantastical sci-fi stuff. He didn't want the aliens. He didn't want all of that stuff. He wanted it grounded into something where you could see our future as a human race getting to that point, and this being a realistic point in time somewhere down the road of what space travel would be like and what exploring planets would be like. That's what he was shooting for. And I think that's what he got, right? Yeah. It's just that not everybody's happy with it, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm not upset. And I don't, like I said, you can have whatever opinion you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, I'm going to call out. And again, I it's weird, but people just go back to when we first started talking about Starfield. Listen, you'll never know the hearts of men. I say that all the time, and it's the truth. You'll never know my heart unless you're me. I'll never know PTK's. I'll never know Fuzzy's. I'll never know any of the reviewers out there. I'll never know if they're telling the truth, right? We don't. Unless you actually were inside of their brains, you'll never know. So the facts are the facts. If I see something that blatantly is obvious, which we did when Starfield launched, where the words in the review and the scores didn't match up in any way, shape, or form, or they were, again, seemingly to take off multiple points because of loading screens, and yet then turn around and
not even loading menus, starting menus,
and then turn around and then talk about, well, he's not even a reviewer, so whatever. But then turn around and praise Mario Wonderland as some revolution on Mario when it's the same freaking game, except he turns into an elephant, and you're going to turn around and say that's revolutionary? Listen, y'all, I'm going to call that shit out, and I'm going to call it bullshit. And if you disagree with me, that's okay. But I am going to call people's opinions out when I think they're being disingenuous, and I will continue to do so when I feel it's necessary. And you guys know I do it across the board on all reviewers. I don't care. Again, it's just stupid. So when I see something like that, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyways,
I'm crazy with it, Pong. I'm gonna go to my grave feeling like that a lot of this came, once again, I mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna pass this over to you, Fuzz, next. I feel like a lot of it comes from welcome to Xbox. I feel like some people still hold that against Bethesda, you know what I mean? Because for a little while there was a little bit of hope, right? Like, maybe we get that game too, and then that died immediately. It was shot down immediately. So I just, I think there's still some people that harbor those type of feelings. They just don't. That's my problem, is when people literally don't want to see the game do well or get better, improve. Like, you're not even offering constructive criticism. And that's a problem. That's a problem I have. I get it. You don't have to like the game. I understand that. But good Lord, you know what I mean? Offer some type of constructive criticism to be of service to the devs, give them something to work with. But let me throw this over to you, Fuzz. And we were talking about this pregame. Shout out to everybody in chat. I saw Umbra, Doc, everybody, William, Slim Reaper, everybody hanging out with us. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with us. Thank you guys so much. But Fuzz, we were talking about this pregame, brother.
Yeah.
This Starfield stuff is a little strange. So you start bringing up that name, it seems to evoke strange emotions in people for some reason, right? So I just kind of want to get your opinion on all the discourse around Starfield. And once again, Chad, you guys know what we do here at the shop, man. We're 100% comfortable with everybody having their own opinion about games, and we're not trying to stifle or filter anybody, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But Fuzz, where you at on this, bro?
Well, like I said earlier, if you tell me you don't like hamburgers, and then I say, what if we put cheese on it? I'm not going to be surprised if you don't like that either, because it's just basically the same thing with a little bit extra on it. So it's not a shock to me that there are people that dislike it, but it boggles my mind for a game that's so disliked and living rent free in so many people's heads. Why do they still ask for it or claim that, oh, it's coming over to PS5? Like, you don't hear those same people saying, oh, I hope Redfall comes over, right? Like, you would think if it's all about just getting an Xbox game on your platform, why don't they ask for Redfall? No, they don't ask for Redfall. Everybody knows that that's not the one that they want, but they still want Starfield. But yet it's a bad game, at least until it gets over there. Because much like we saw when Hi-Fi Rush went over there, you know, there were some reviewers that were like, oh yeah, I played it on my PC for a few hours. It just didn't click with me. You know, maybe it was the music or the rhythm or something. It didn't click. And then miraculously, like the day of or the week of when it comes to PlayStation, oh, everything is, it just felt insane.
I think the review is higher on PlayStation than it is for Xbox.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure.
Like, yeah. So it's like all of a sudden, oh, maybe it's the blue lights on their plastic box that makes the game play better or something. I don't know. I mean, the only thing that, you know, Digital Foundries found was maybe the shadows looked a little better, but you know, they're zooming in at 400 times anyway, so who knows? But I'll put it out this way. I hop back into Starfield. I can't get the DLC to proc. Maybe it's because it's a modded save. I know I broke a couple of my saves already because of that. But since I'm on the road, I didn't have a chance to kind of fiddle around with things on the PC and see if, you know, undoing some of the mods I have going might allow for it to proc and stuff. But I got the DLC loaded, did a reboot and all that stuff. And you know what? Starfield is still a fun game, even though I haven't dived into the DLC just yet. Just seeing a lot of other people's clips, but I know at you know, some point early next week I'll definitely put some hours into it. But I'm just not shocked at like some of these opinions, and then having the same person for IGN review it, review the DLC that reviewed the game, and it's the same score. It's like, oh, who would have thunk? But you know, I just wonder if this was a game that was on the PlayStation, what its outlook or what the conversation would be like. Like, would it be a totally different conversation, much like what we saw with Hi-Fi Rush, or would it be more of the same? My gut's telling me that it would have a higher review. It's telling me that it would be praised a lot more. And you know, a lot of people would have been like, yeah, you know, I was hoping for more with the DLC, but it's so awesome to be able to stay on this planet, or you know, bounce off the planet when you want to, and all this other stuff. That would have been more of the focus, the enjoyment that they're having, or the visuals that they're seeing as far as, you know, the sky and some of the atmosphere on the planet itself. No, the conversations about, oh, this is terrible. You can beat it in 8 hours. There's no companions. And it's like, well, wait, there's some people that have spent more time in it and found 2 new companions. So which is it? Is there no new companions, or did you just rush through the game to get to the end of it so you could write this review crapping on it again? So I don't know. I tend to listen to people that like the same games I like, or look at games a similar way. And it's not I need that like reassurance or anything, but it gives me some sort of preparation on what to expect when I dive into it, kind of thing. And I just, we've seen it before. Like, there was people on Steam that put 400 hours in, and it's like, oh, it's a terrible game. I won't recommend. Why did you play 400 hours of it? Like, but it's the same suspects, the usual, you know, song and dance. And my suggestion is, you know, for all of those that, you know, did the upgrade so they could do the 3 days early when Starfield originally released, just go ahead and give it a try. Just go ahead and download it, give it a try, find out for yourself. You know, if it winds up being that you don't like the story, but you still enjoy other aspects of Starfield, just use that new scenery as your photo mode or something. But yeah, I don't understand why people continue to hate on a game. And think that, oh, well, the DLC was all of a sudden miraculously going to change that. And then they're like, well, I still hate the game, and here's why. And let me tell you another thing. This is terrible because, no, I don't care at this point. Like, you already crapped on the game. your opinion on what the DLC is going to
Yeah.
be isn't going to shift any of my outlook on the game. I mean, it might, shift their, followers' outlook on the
Mhm.
game, but my suggestion, like I said earlier, just try it for yourself. If you don't want to pay the 30 to upgrade or the 26.99 upgrade cost with Game Pass and stuff, just wait until the holidays. I'm pretty sure the price will drop a bit. Be able to get it at a break, or probably see if the upgraded version, the complete version, is available on sale either on Steam or Epic or on Microsoft Store, as far as like doing like a CD keys kind of thing, and go from there. But I don't know. I just hopefully, well, actually, I guess we did see kind of the shoes on the other foot type of
Yeah,
scenario.
we
And
did see that. It came
where
and went
people,
though. It didn't. It lasted about 4 days, and then it's out of there. It was gone out of the news cycle completely. So
and they
you
don't
know,
even want people to criticize it anymore. Now that it's gone, it's like, well, it's a dead game. It doesn't
they're
exist.
trying to scrub that game from existence. Like I don't hear anything about it. Like I don't even hear anybody bringing it up. Like it's not in the news cycle at all. So
Concord, who?
yeah, right. Then you're talking about grape jelly when they say Concord, huh? Ridiculous, but no,
Yeah,
good. I don't want to cut you off. Are you finished?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
good.
okay. My bad. I didn't want to cut you off if you were done, brother. But the great take, I 100% agree. And I want to ask you in chat as well. Question. Shout out to everybody hanging on with us. Shout out to William Riggs, member for 5 months. Appreciate you. We'll get to your question here very soon, brother. I will make sure. Pong Fuzz, I'm curious. Is Starfield the most? I don't say controversial because there's probably other games that more controversial. But is it probably the most divisive game to come out in like recent memory? Would you guys agree with that as far as like how people is so divisive, like you're on one side or the other?
I'd say Cyberpunk, but
You think Cyberpunk you think that wasn't just the launch of Cyberpunk, the whole debacle that was the launch? Like I just feel like people
no,
like
because the hate train continued to roll after the launch, and after it was even shown to be mostly the previous gen that was having the massive issues, which it was.
mhm,
People still continued to hate religiously on people who posted anything positive about Cyberpunk,
uh-huh.
right? And so I gotta say, like again, that was on another level, of course,
Okay.
because that thing dropped everywhere too. I would say Cyberpunk's got to be up there. I'm trying to think what else is in
I
there.
was trying to think too. That's why I asked the question because
Yeah.
I just feel like Starfield the game wasn't even out. People were doing this a year and a half before we knew what the game was. Like we had a name and a couple like concept art pictures. That was it. And
Mhm.
people were like, "Oh man, oh Bethesda, oh man, they're dropping the ball. Like you don't even know what the game is. Oh, we can't trust them." I'm like, "Wait a minute, like you do know Skyrim sold 60 million copies?
That
Like this
that
is the same company?"
that definitely came from being purchased by Xbox. That part of
Yeah,
it, where it was the pre-hate buildup,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was because of that purchase, right? That was, a lot of it was because of that. There
Xbox.
is a group of haters that do hate Bethesda. Don't get
Oh,
me wrong.
absolutely,
Again, Bethesda
absolutely.
is not beloved.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a
No, no,
group of
no.
people
They're
who
not
think that Bethesda is way overrated.
overrated.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So that group is going to be vocal, but obviously Xbox purchasing them added to that
Oh
group.
man.
That group got a little bit bigger
Oh
after
man.
that happened. So yeah.
Okay. All right, Fuzz, you
Yeah,
agree?
yeah. Well, Cyberpunk, yeah. Starfield, yes. But there's another one that the PlayStation guys kind of hated on, and it still did well, but there was some divisiveness as far as within their community, and that was The Last of Us too. They killed off a.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I know this is probably spoiler territory, but if you don't know by this point,
You
then
got to
what
know
are
by
you
now.
doing?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
They killed off the beloved character,
Yeah.
and just
The
some of
way they
the
did it.
positioning of
Yeah.
stuff. People
Uh-huh.
were like, "Oh, this is terrible. What is Druckmann doing?" Blah blah blah. And it's like, I mean, there are people that enjoyed it, loved it for its combat and other parts of the story, and then there were
Mhm.
people like, "Oh, I don't want this, woke stuff
But
down my
was it
throat."
getting pre-hate though? Starfield was getting pre-hated.
Yes.
It
Yes,
was.
because there
So,
was a leak.
Because of the
oh
leak.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Okay, I forgot about it.
Yep.
You're right. You're right.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep. Yep.
okay, okay,
But
okay.
but those three kind of are in a similar boat for like varying reasons or different reasons and stuff. But they all got their own fair share of hate. But I think there's like an extra bit of spit on the Starfield hate where it just feels like, okay, we understand it's an Xbox owned IP. You don't like Xbox, you're by default not going to like this, IP type of thing.
Yeah.
With The Last of Us, the same people that don't want to play as a female character probably had issue with some of the stuff as well. So it's like, okay. And then, like Pong said, with Cyberpunk, well, all the press said it's terrible or it's broken on the previous gen, and I encountered this bug because I hit the power button. Wait, what? So
Yeah, the fan fiction was crazy with Starfield and Cyberpunk for sure. So I just had to ask that question because I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't know, man. It's definitely up there for sure. So I think we agree probably top 2, top 3. So, all right, man. I had to get that off my chest, man. I've been thinking about that, seeing all of the nonsense and just discourse and on Twitter, and it's just like, good Lord, here we go all over again. But it is what it is. The great thing though, Pong, the best thing about this, Pong, is that Bethesda does not give a shit. They're going to continue to make their game. They're going to continue to work on the game, and that's what I respect.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah. And I think they're going to bring it to other platforms eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah,
I think that's going to happen,
yeah.
and then we'll see some more opinions.
More
a little bit. And we'll see some more talk, but we will also see some opinions change as well. So
some neck breaking whiplash moves.
Yep.
Oh man, that's crazy. All right, well, we'll see. We're gonna pin that. We got to make sure we clip that, because we'll see in a few years if that actually comes true. But I want to move on to something else too, man. And shout out to everybody. Shout out to Classy Gamers Gal Mama Sita coming in. It's been a minute. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. It's been a while since we've seen you in chat, but shout out to you coming through, showing love. Thank you so much. What's up, Dog50 as well, hanging out with us in chat, man. Thank you guys so much. So I wanted to get into this third person Halo stuff. It's funny that we're following this up with a 343, right? Because they're kind of in the same similar position as Bethesda as far as like being a, having this huge iconic franchises and, a seemingly, according to public opinion, falling from grace studio, right? Like these devs are trying to claw their way back after making multiple billion-dollar video games, right? So I just kind of want to get into they announced that there's going to be a third person mode, really, and once again, we talked about this earlier, and this is one of the things Microsoft / Xbox does not get credit for, right? They will continue, and just like Pong said, to work on their games. They do not believe in one and dones. It does happen every so often, not very rare with Xbox that they do a one and done as far as like, okay, we're not doing this again, or we're just not going to work on this game and continue to try and improve it. They just about always, try and let the developer, complete their vision of what they wanted to make, or at least try and turn things around. So obviously this isn't going to fix everything for 343, may not fix anything for some people, but I just want to get you guys' opinion, Pong, Fuzz, and we can just rapid fire this. Is mailbag anyway. But I just kind of want to get you guys' opinion on just the mode. What do you guys think, the future of Halo Infinite and them adding different things?
I'll take it. Casual Halo guy. I think it's great. I think it's something that should have been done earlier on. I know there's some people saying no, keep it pure, keep it a first person shooter. But to be real, again, you can't make a game. You got to make the game you wanted to, and 343 did that to a certain degree. They made the game they wanted to. It didn't hit, right? And for a variety of different reasons, it didn't hit the way that normally you would think it would. And one of those things is that, Halo's will always be, even though I'm not the biggest Halo fan, I still say if I was doing a Mount Rushmore, Halo's up there, right? So I know it and respect its place in history, but it's not the IP it once was, right?
No,
it isn't. And now, especially with all the acquisitions and stuff, we talked about this a long time ago. Is Halo still Microsoft's, premier, the biggest IP? No, it's not. It's not. And so when it came out, it didn't do, what they had hoped it would do for a variety of different reasons. Obviously, big one, not enough content. We know the whole thing with 343. But like you said, PTK, and like we were just talking about with other games, they continue to work on it. And they've still got a team building around Forge now, which Forge has done a lot. It's brought a lot of people back to the Halo multiplayer. So I'm happy that they're finally doing this, because I do believe that wherever the future of Halo lies, they are going to have to make some changes to it. They are
absolutely.
They're going to have to take it in a new direction.
The good thing is I think they finally have the management to deal with that now.
Yeah,
we'll see, and that remains to be seen. But I think that they cleaned house. A lot of the old guard and a lot of that dissension between the old guard and the new people. You know, I think they've kind of situated that a little bit. They got a new head of the studio as well. So, you know, we'll see. That remains to be seen.
Yeah, it does. So I'm happy for this. This is something Steel's been asking for. You know, Steel's the third person guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Third person shooters all the way.
Yeah.
And I think for the younger generations, I said it last night. The younger generations that grew up now on Fortnite, right? And that kind of stuff. The third person shooters. You gotta make. You got to make options for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having that as an option, having this as a mode, even Call of Duty has it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having it as a mode, I just don't have an issue with. I think it's good. I think it can have a chance to bring more people in, and even some of the old heads are interested in playing in third
I saw
person,
that.
right?
I did see that. Yeah.
And you got all this great armor. You know, you got the armor customization and all that kind of stuff. That's one of Steel's main points all the time. You're gonna give me all this customization. I want to see it, right? I don't want to just see it in cutscenes, or I don't just want to see it in loading screens. I want to see it when I'm playing. So I think it just brings a new way to play Halo forward, and I think it could entice more people to jump in because Forge is going to continue to live on. And listen, Helljumpers came out, right? So they just announced that Helljumpers is launching October 25th. For anybody who doesn't know, that's the Helldivers-like creation that they did in Forge for Halo. I was watching a little bit of a video of it. Looks pretty interesting from what they did and how they kind of mimicked Helldivers in a bunch of different ways, but it's in Halo form, and obviously it's through Forge, so it's not like it's a full-fledged developed expansion or anything. So it's interesting how they did things, but it looks kind of cool. So I'm sure people enjoy that, but they came out and piggybacked right off of that announcement of the official third person view coming, mode coming from 343, and said, now that the word's out in the street, we can announce that Helljumpers will also have the option for you to play in third person if you want to. So that is another big move, and that's another big bonus, because I know a lot of people are going to be jumping in just to try out Helljumpers.
Yeah,
and so they'll get a chance to try out some third person and see if they like it. And I bet you there will be people that enjoy Halo in third person more than first person, even though that's sacrilege to some people.
But
listen,
the option's there now.
Yes, the option's there. That's all that matters. The option's there, and I think it's a good thing. So I'm happy for them that they got this finally out, right?
Yep, facts. And I agree. I'm on the same page with you, right? I don't play Halo nearly as much as I used to. Obviously, Halo 1, 2, 3, the original trilogy was, most dear to my heart. Greatest game trilogy in my opinion. That's just me personally. But I understand. And I just applaud 343 for grinding, putting their heads down, continue to work on the game, try and provide as much content. Another thing we got to take into account too, you're never going to please the Halo community. But it's been that way for forever, right?
Halo's been fractured. That community's been fractured.
For a very long time.
We talk about this. Those massive communities, you're never going to.
Yeah, you're just never gonna do it. You know what I mean? So part of that's attrition, right? You got to understand that. Okay, there's a good percentage of people that are probably not gonna like this. Even people that have played the game for the last 10, 15 years since one. A lot of it comes from like the esports side too. They have that esports element. Those guys don't like a lot of the stuff that the base game does and some of the features and things like that. But outside of that, man, I just appreciate them continuing working on the game, Pong, and I think that's the big thing for me.
They got nothing to lose too.
It's a
clean slate.
It's a clean slate at this point
now, right?
And you don't have a ton of eyeballs either, so you can kind of work in relative peace. Yeah,
try stuff, do things, throw stuff out there, see what works for the future, right? For whatever your plans are down the road. And again, they might have different studios also working on Halo projects now too as well.
Yeah.
But this is a good test bed to be able to just throw things out there and see how people, the fans that are playing it, how they respond to this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And again, like you said, you're not going to appease everybody, but you never know. You might find a new audience with a third-person mode. And again, it's just an option. They're not changing all of Halo to third person. So, again, the people that don't like it can go play their first person still, right? It's just another option. So, yeah.
Facts. Okay. All right, Fuzz, I want to throw this over to you, brother. I know, us three specifically don't play Halo as much as we probably used to. And Pong didn't, he just said it. He didn't really, not the biggest Halo fan, but Just being where 343's at, where Halo Infinite's at, we don't talk about it as much as we used to. But like I said, it's super commendable that they continue to work on this game. They continue to try and round out some of the features, options, try and give people, closer to what they want out of Halo. Just give people more options, goddammit. Like let people pick out of the options that you give them. You know what I mean? So, I just, once again, that's big. That's super, super commendable to me. Whether or not you're going to jump in is not that important, you know what I mean, for the masses, but for me personally. But I just want to get your opinion on, Halo Infinite, the third person mode, where you at on that? Is that something that you might even try?
Yeah, it's definitely something I would try. I mean, being the big Division fan I am, I'm more of a third person shooter than first person shooter for the most part. About my biggest first person shooter game was what do you call it?
Insurgency?
Insurgency, Sandstorm and stuff. But overall, more options are always a good thing. I'm all for them. Hopefully, because I think it's going to be a down the road thing. This mode is more so for the multiplayer, but I'm hearing some rumors possibly that something down the pipe might be for the campaign aspect, which that would be more of an appeal for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, having 343 try some things, whether they're spin-offs, and we've talked about that horror themed, ring with the flood and stuff like that. It now's the chance to try things. Like we heard the rumors shortly after Helldivers 2 came out that there was like an internal team that pitched the idea and it got shot down or whatever the case may be. And now there's a modding community that's doing that Hell Jumpers thing through Forge. This is a perfect way to kind of test the waters on what different things may appeal to a different audience. Like the big thing that Xbox is talking about these days is you can either monetize your existing customer base, Sony, or you can try to find more players to bring into your fold. And I think having these options will allow for that. Because if you're only going to have the same amount of Halo players with the same types of modes that you've been doing for the past couple generations, then you may not grow that any further, considering how much competition's out there. I mean, technically they own some of that other competition nowadays, but things like Call of Duty even did a third person mode. So it's great to see that Halo's given it a try as well. And then if it expands the base, even if it winds up being a spin-off later, or just like a test mode that winds up becoming a permanent mode later on that you can queue for, so be it. I'm all for them trying that stuff. But like I said, I hope this makes its way into campaign, because that's where I would
definitely
be most
definitely
likely to test it or give it a try. And stuff.
You know, the funny thing about Infinite, Pong and Fuzz, is that I feel like out of all the Halos, it absolutely does have the most wiggle room for these things, right? I couldn't imagine these things being added outside of Forge in the previous Halos. But because of the way they did it with the open world, there's more wiggle room in this game for these things to be added later on. And that's one of the, I think the whole open world thing is going to end up being a huge benefit later, down the line, because it gives you just way more room to do different things rather than such a, how everything was so, corridor, everything was so, just straightforward, right? Point A to point B, every single mission, every single level. Now you can run around, do pretty much any task you want in any order you want, right? You don't have to do anything. You can run around, just kill things, fly around, do all kind of cool tricks and stuff. So I do agree with you that third person in the campaign would do wonder.
Yeah. Let's fingers crossed. I hope it definitely winds up happening. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chad, let us know how you feel about that. And I agree with you too, Umber. Shout out to you, Mr. UE5, brother. You didn't get your UE5 Halo, man. Sorry, I apologize. You didn't end up getting that UE5 Halo, so we may never know what that looks like in UE5. I got a question for you and Pong Fuzz. Do you think how much you guys on board with them opening up the Halo IP for other devs to work on? Like, how would that be? You guys be opposed to that?
No, all the way in. Saying it forever. Yes. More and more and more. More devs should have jumped on it a long time ago. They should have allowed it to expand out. Again, there's so much lore. There's so many different genres. They need to do another Halo Wars, for God's sakes. They got so many opportunities. People have thrown out horror-esque titles with the Flood, which
Mm-hmm.
is a great idea for the horror fans. People would love the shit out of that.
And it's not even non-canon. It's in the books.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I said that there's room
Yeah.
for a Halo action RPG. Looter.
Oh God! Don't even get me
Absolutely
started.
there needs to be another ODST, which has
Yeah.
not been made. Like,
Yep.
yes, I've said spread the wealth, let this IP flourish. If it takes other studios, then so be it. Let other studios have their hand. Take a chance on it. It doesn't have to be mainline Halo. It can be a billion different things because that's how big the universe is. There's a ton of stories to tell outside of Chief, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of stories to tell. Let other people take a crack at it, man. I've said that for years and years and years. But again, that's the casual Halo fan, so I'm not protective of the IP like I know some Halo fans are. But especially at this point now,
you might as well.
Honestly, you might as well.
You might as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. You know, I was actually opposed to that idea because I was, you know me, Halo's near and dear to my heart. I was opposed to that idea. You asked me that 5 years ago, and I'd be like, hell no. Like, why would you even think that? But just over time, and I've completely softened on it. And it has nothing to do about like, oh, the game didn't blow the doors off everybody when it came out. It has nothing to do with that. Just looking at like other games that we're getting. We're in this golden age of gaming, Pong, and just seeing like the creativity that these devs now have with small IPs and big IPs and just all the different like elements of other games that I enjoy that I know Halo will work with has completely opened up my eyes to other devs taking on that IP. Now, I don't know if Microsoft and or Xbox would ever allow somebody outside of 343. You know, they're kind of like Apple in that way when it comes to certain IPs. They just, you know, they don't seem to want to do that. But at this point, I'm not opposed at all. I'd love we talked about it many times. I'd love a ARPG Halo. I don't have no fucking idea what that looks like. Pong, do it. Do it. I don't care. I have no idea what it looks like. I do it though.
And we know they've already softened their stance because certain Affinity was working.
They were doing that. They were.
They were already started down that road.
Yeah.
It was time. So, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what if they do like a collaboration with it, like a Doom guy and Master Chief kind of thing, like
a game with the two?
Yeah, we've talked about stuff like that before, as far as doing like collaborations amongst the studios under the Xbox, umbrella now. So, I would say it's without, polluting the waters too much as far as having, too many spinoffs. I know that was one thing that was mentioned in some sort of leaked documents before, that they were afraid of, oversaturating the IP. That's kind of why we didn't get that.
Look at Warhammer 40K for God's
sake.
Come
on, man.
Break. Come on.
Yeah, it rolls out of the ashes like the phoenix, man. Like, what are we talking about? So, and that's another thing too, Fuzz. I agree with you there. They do feel like that, but there's too many examples of IPs that were worse off than Halo. Because like Warhammer was a great IP, but if you were a fan of Warhammer already,
correct? Yes,
it didn't become. It still is, but it's caught fire all of a sudden. Like y'all saw my tweet. I'm watching lore videos every day. I'm learning more and more about Warhammer every single day. I probably know more about it than you at this point, Pong. Like I don't watch like 50 freaking YouTube videos, bro. But that's what a quality game can do to your franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show that there's room out there, especially when you have things like Mario that have like 50 different types of titles out there as well. But I would love to see Microsoft be more willing to do, whether it's a collab within other internal studios, or have something where it's like a third person RPG-esque type of game or looter shooter. I would love that. Those are the things that appeal to me more.
ODST looter shooter? Come on, man.
So those are things, hopefully, that they, eventually are willing to dip their toe in and try. I won't say that they have the money to allow, to try something like that. And then let's say it doesn't hit or doesn't land. It's not going to be that much sweat off their back, but it's worthwhile at least trying, because let's look at, a title on another platform. Look at God of War, that third person or almost like a ARPG-esque type of view that it used to have, where you would have the adjusting camera against big bosses and things like that, to go to the third person over the shoulder. That was a huge change from the original. So those types of changes could, catapult a series or bring it back to life and bring about a whole new fan base. So yeah, hopefully hopefully they loosen the strings as far as who gets to work on it or what spin-off maybe another studio works on, like a Raven Studio or any of those that have been normally stuck on like a Call of Duty
Yeah.
life cycle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let them have a handle at it as well, or give
All
them.
right. So now that you said that, I got another question. So, so I need to know. So in the perfect world, they call you Pong, they call you Fuzz, and say Phil calls you guys. Chat. This is you guys too. Phil calls all of us, right? And says, look, right, we need some we need some fresh ideas for this Halo, IP, obviously, right? It's doing okay, but we need some fresh ideas. Give me, obviously, we know the IP is Halo, but like, who is your dream dev work like to work on an IP? Who are we pairing Halo up with? Like, so
That's a tough one.
so I mean, it can be any studio. It don't have to be first party. It don't have to be in house. It could be third party. You got like a perfect matchup, Pong Fuss.
One idea that's been rattling around in my head, and this was actually more so for Coalition and the Gears franchise. Remember the people that did the Ascent?
What is the name of that studio, Pong? Damn it! Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. So I'm gonna have to Google it. Hold on. Yeah, they're a great dev too, by the way. I hope we get an Ascent too at some point.
Yeah, it's Neon Giant.
Neon. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So imagine like almost like a theme along the lines of a Halo Wars 3 type of deal, but a blend of Halo Wars strategy, but have it where it can be real time, almost like in a twin stick shooter. For me, that would land a little bit better than the full on strategy game or RTS. But I think they should try things along those lines. Like maybe it's an ODST style, twin stick shooter in that perspective, and go from there. That would be something I want to see Microsoft give a try, because the Ascent hit in a different way when it first came out.
Yeah,
this gen, and
it's a great game,
even
man.
people did mods on PC to the point where they were playing it like Cyberpunk in either first person or third person, like over the shoulder type of deal because of the mods. And even though they didn't dial up the graphics because you're going to be looking at these characters from a distance kind of thing, it was still playable or looked like it would be a current gen game, even in like a first person or even third person perspective, in that same vein. So I would love to see like a Neon Giant styled, either a Halo or even a Gears game, and just have at it, do that as like maybe an in between, like your next mainline title kind of thing as a spin-off.
Oh, I love that. So I'm going the ARPG route, man. I'm definitely going the ARPG route. Blizzard. Who makes PoE? What's this game? Is it Something Works? GameWorks? What is it, Pong? That makes PoE? What's the dev's name?
Path of Exile is Game Science.
Games is it Game Science? Is it Game Science? No, it's not Game Science.
No, it's not.
It's shit.
I always
Hold
forget
on.
their names too.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah, so ARPG Halo would feed families. For me personally, I would love AR. There's way too much lore. The universe is big enough. You have Chief can still be the main character if he like, or you can just make us a random like Spartan, right? A random Spartan. You can even have classes, because there were different types of Spartans that they specialize in different things. So you could even do that. The weapons are there. Obviously, you have different factions, obviously, that you're fighting against, from the Flood to the Covenant. You know what I mean? Just the brutes, elites, things like that. It's all there, bro. You got plenty of weapons.
Gear games, by the way.
Grinding gear games. Okay, so I'd love somebody to just do a Halo ARPG of some sort. I would love to go grind and run. I don't know if you would call them dungeons, but just I could imagine what they would do in that universe with those characters. Oh man, I love it so much. So I think that's where I'm going, a Halo ARPG. What about you, Paul?
Well, I knew you were going to go that route. I knew one of you guys were going to do that. So I'm going to go way off the plantation here for myself, and I'm going to go something completely that I probably would not be interested in, which would be the horror game that everybody's asking for the Flood.
Well, but does it have to be straight horror, though?
Well, it doesn't have to be straight horror, but I think it would definitely be pretty jump scary.
Okay.
Flood, right? Because the Flood shows up out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
But the dev I would have do it is 4A Games, the devs behind Metro Exodus.
Ooh.
They already do first person. They know how to do first person shooters. That's what Metro is. They get the atmosphere. They've got the creatures. Again, I could say the same thing about GSC, but we know GSC is not in I'm just taking all things into consideration. And then they've been through just getting Stalker 2 out, right?
Yeah.
But 4A has done so freaking amazing, and they're a lot of them are part of the original team from GSC and Stalker. So what they've proven to me with the Metro games, they could do a Flood like horror first person shooter Halo universe game. Yeah, I think it would be fantastic for them to take that on. I think they really could do something special.
All right, and shout out to, that's a great idea. Shout out to Alvin for the $5 super chat. He has an idea. He said the rise of Atriox go on several Covenant suicide missions and are always the lone survivor. Eventually you rebel and create the Banish by Saber Interactive.
Yeah.
Woo! Cooking. Man, I just realized, Paul, they could do so much.
They can. That's what I said.
Man.
So I said, man, it's insane, and again, the best stories of Halo recently have come out of the Halo Wars, and that's the crazy part. Like, with Atriox and the Banished and all that kind of stuff, and that's why I say they've got to do Halo Wars 3. They've got to go back to it. I know Halo.
I'm surprised we haven't even gotten any leaks about anything being worked on like a Halo Wars 3.
Halo Wars 2 didn't hit the way they wanted it to, but come on, man, so much has been learned.
And look at RTSs are taking off. RTSs are hot right now.
And Phil loves them. Microsoft loves them in general. So I want to see them go back. So because I loved it as a non-Halo. Again, that was the one RTS I'd be competitive in. Yeah. Was Halo Wars 2. And when I say competitive, I mean, again, I think I've got 200 games that I won. That's just winning. And I was actually competing online, which is crazy for me. I don't. Yeah,
you're
that.
Not a.
That's how good that damn game was, bro. That game was special, and man, they could do even better now. Like, there's a lot. Yeah. But again, that falls right into they should just do an RTS with all their IPs. They own all these IPs now. They literally should have an RTS that all the factions are Halo, Gears factions, Call of Duty factions. You got the Diablo factions. Like, you literally have so many factions to create a giant RTS out of. It's insane. It would be so much fun. But anyways.
Man. Another thing, too, and shout out to Blue. What's up, Blue? He said he would love another ODST. I'd love for somebody like id to tackle a ODST. Somebody like id, with that engine. It doesn't have to be as graphic, obviously. But to be fair, ODST was way darker than the mainline Halos from, like, a atmosphere standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, you were walking around, the city was dead. You know what I mean? You can hear stuff, enemies, you never knew where they were at. It just felt like there was just peril. Like, and you're a human, which didn't give you that Superman feeling that Chief does. You never really feel like you could die when you're Chief. Yeah. But when you're ODST Shock Trooper, you felt you didn't have the shield, you didn't have all the crazy, effects and all this other stuff. You didn't have the power armor. You know what I mean? Like, I think that with a developer like id, would feed family suit. That would be a great. I'd love another ODST.
To Fuzzy's point, though, the Doom guy crossover. Think about this, Fuzz.
What
if you had? Okay, we're going back to B cheesy sci-fi flicks from the 80s, right? What if you had an accident and Chief was pulled into Doom's world, and Doom guy was pulled into Halo, and you have the 343 guys work on the levels for the Halo side, you have the id guys work on the levels for Doom, but you drop in those guys, and it's one game, and you just switch off playing back and forth between levels as they try to figure out how they're going to get back to their respective worlds. That would
be awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's definitely, that reminds me of like an early 90s movie, dead ass. Like,
some weird shit
absolutely.
Happens, but it'd be so cool.
But you never know, Pong, right? Like, it's the room's there. You know what I mean? The wiggle room's there. They could do so much. I mean, golly, man, this got my wheels spinning now about Halo, man. So many ideas, man. Shout out to Calorie too. Great idea. He said bully-like game where you let me pull it up here on the screen so everybody can see that. Shout out to Calorie. He said bully-like game where you're John going through the Spartan Academy and training, mix of Ender's Game story with relationship and mini games like in Bully. Wow. I didn't consider that either. More like a bully, like,
That'd be cool.
The only problem with that is that you have to show Chief's face.
Well, Spartan Academy and training though, yeah. I mean, kind of
Yeah, I
before they
mean,
start, yeah.
you'd
I
have
saw,
to.
No,
yeah.
you don't have to show his face. Just have it where it's taken from like over his shoulder, like from behind his head.
It'd be funny. It
It'd
would
be
be funny to see
hilarious.
the young, like if they were actually like just school kids, like normal kids. Like that would
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
Well, to be fair, there is a picture of him in the book as a child.
Sure, right. Of
So,
course he was.
I mean,
but they
if
weren't
he-
normal children.
No, well,
Let's
well, what?
you know what I'm
You're
saying?
right.
Like
they could jump over my apartment building.
these
Yeah,
weren't like carefree
yeah,
kids.
yeah. No,
growing up.
not at all.
Okay, so it's a little different. It's a little different.
No.
Mass Erect. He said he needs a. I've said all along a Halo RPG, a straight
Oh,
RPG.
come
I've said
on,
that would be
Pong.
dope as hell, man.
God.
I think it would be so cool somehow to make that happen, to make an RPG.
It's all there.
Yeah, it is.
You have you have everything you need, man. You know what I mean? Like I was saying about the ARPG, I completely forgot. I was saying like different classes. In fact,
Yeah.
hell, you could play as an elite, play as a grunt,
Yep.
play as a what do you call them? The guys with the shields. Holy shit, the guys that carry the. Oh, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Yeah, no, I can't talk. Anyway, anyway. But yeah, you have tons of factions and brutes and all these cool things that you can play as. Like you could have different powers and different abilities, different stats because you start with like different base stats because they're different. Oh man. Anyway, gonna turn this show into a Halo. Anyway, let's keep it moving though, man. That was a great topic, man. That really got my juices going. But shout out to let us know, man, what you guys want to see. You never know who's watching these shows, but let us know what you guys want to see from if that was even a possibility. If they gave you guys the keys to the Halo franchise, what would you guys do with it? But I do want to move on to something that we're a little early on, but I don't feel like we're too early. We're already in October. We're a week in October. These Game of the Year conversations are going to start. The VGAs is either November, December. Do we know for sure what? Jeff's already came out December, right? Okay, so early December.
Yep.
I mean, first or second week, one of the two. Wasn't it in November one year, or am I tripping?
I think November.
I'm tripping.
Off.
Oh, that's what it was, a cutoff for the actual voting. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, so the year's not over. And it's crazy because October is packed with games. Games that potentially make their way onto this Game of the Year list. But I need to know where you guys at for Game of the Year. Just 3. Chat. I need to know you guys 3. It don't got to be in any order. Just 3 on the list for Game of the Year so far. But I'm gonna start with you, Fuzz, on this one. Obviously, none of us have played everything, but just what's on your list so far. But I know we're a little early, but it might change between now and the end of the month.
I'm definitely going to put Hellblade 2 up there. Had a ton of fun with that, with the combat. I know that was some controversial stuff for some people as far as not liking the combat in comparison to the previous, but I actually enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the variety. As long as you don't put it on dynamic, it definitely gives you a challenge. And there are different moves than just timing the slashes, doing the special, almost like time freeze and stuff like that. So, and the visuals, the story, while it may not have been as tear jerking, kind of like with the first one, it did pull a little bit at the heartstrings to some extent. So I nominate Hellblade 2. What game was earlier this year? Dragon's Dogma 2. The AI. Well, all right. Before we even get really into the story, the AI companions, as far as their, I guess the programming involved with it, just kind of made it much more of an enjoyable game to the point where some people mistook it for being co-op, kind of. The story, the visuals, the enemy types, the character creator, it needs a nomination in a lot more than just Game of the Year. But I enjoyed that game, and I kind of slept on the first one. Didn't it was never on my radar before, and as we got closer to the launch of Dragon's Dogma 2, I was like, yeah, I like what I see so far. And man, I haven't played it in a bit, but I definitely spent a lot of hours playing that. And as far as right now, I'm just going off of word of mouth because I haven't given it a try, and it's not my normal type of game. I think Metaphor right now is one that should be at least considered. But it's not my type of game typically, but those are the top 3. If I could add another one, although I don't think it's full release, actually it might It may have come out the end of last year, which was 6 Days of Fallujah. It is a hard single player right now, first person shooter, but they're adding the AI bots to it, so it'll be kind of like well, it won't be anything exactly like Ghost Recon, but at least you'll have like teammates that you can kind of clear buildings and things like that. But I just love the dynamic map. Some of the major landmarks stay the same, but the overall environment, you can feel the stress going around a corner, breaching a door, finding a basement, tunnel or something along those lines. Playing it with a team, especially when it takes it somewhat serious, communication's key. It is all of the intensity that I enjoyed out of Insurgency Sandstorm times 1,000 kind of deal. And the lethality of it, although there have been times I kind of, I guess because I jumped behind a wall, I survived some of the damage from a grenade, but it's stuff that does happen. Sometimes a barrier can save your life, or it can pretty much be the end of things. But it's definitely a game when it does come to console to keep in mind.
Okay. All right, man. That's good 3 choices, man. Great 3 choices. Got to hear yours, Paul. I'm super curious. I feel like I know at least 2 of them.
Well,
but
yeah, you do. And
yeah.
Again, out of what I've played, and again, for anybody listening for the first time, I never claim to finish games, so these are just off my impression of what I played through of these games. So, number 1 is Dragon's Dogma 2. It is still my game of the year this year. Dragon's Dogma 2 is, again, I just love RPGs, and I can't say enough about that game. And like Fuzzy said, the character creator is next level. When I saw everybody praising Dragon Age Veilguard, I was like, I couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You guys are going to say this is a freaking amazing character creator that we've never seen before? I'm like, go look at Baldur's Gate 3 and go look at Dragon's Dogma 2, okay? On another level. So Dragon's Dogma 2, though, just from a gameplay standpoint, from an RPG lover standpoint, it's still there. It's still right up there. Still got it downloaded. Still planning on going back to it again and keep playing through it because I love that game so much.
Wait, that game came out this year, correct?
Yes, that was early this year.
It's so crazy that this year's been so good. Oh my goodness. I lose track. Completely lose track.
Oh yeah. No, it's very easy to lose track of this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. But that was early this year.
Holy moly, yeah.
So Dragon's Dogma 2 is still number 1 for me. Then now in second place is Space Marine 2. I don't care if this isn't some groundbreaking game. It's groundbreaking to me in the terms that they are bringing back what games used to be in a AAA fashion from a studio that hasn't been known for the biggest AAA games ever. And they did it so perfectly in Space Marine 2. It is just a complete package, and it is an absolute blast to play. I've now had a chance to play about 4 or 5 hours of the multiplayer, and the multiplayer is just back to the basics, early 360 type multiplayer. It is fun. That is not a slight on that at all. That people should go try that just to get that old feeling again of what it used to be before we had all these extra bells and whistles and garbage thrown at us in multiplayer games that sure can be really cool, but are so completely unnecessary when it comes to just pure kick-ass fun time going around and slaying people, right? And so Space Marine 2, one of the best co-op experiences that me and Steel have had together, and we've had a bunch of them from start to finish in that campaign. Just a great game, and should be, I'm not saying it's going to be because of the way the media works these days, but should be in contention for Game of the Year because it is that damn good. And that I hats off again to Focus and to Saber for doing what they did there. And then third place, man, this is a tough one. I definitely think Metaphor ReFantazio is going to be.
Wow.
I think,
I did not expect. So listen, You did. Listen. I know you stand on business, Pong. So I'm not accusing you of turning or anything like that. I'm just saying I just didn't know if you felt like that strongly about it. So okay.
It's going absolutely. like I could try if you want to say that doesn't count because it's not officially released.
No, it's on my list. Just letting you know right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're not going to count that one, then the next one would be Unicorn Overlord, and Unicorn Overlord should be in everybody's top. That sold now 1 million copies. Unicorn Overlord is one of the best strategy games to come out in a very long time. It is very tactics style game. It is so damn good. More people should play it. I'm glad it sold over 1 million copies, which is big in terms of that type of game. So I am super happy because Vanillaware deserves a lot of credit for what they did with Unicorn Overlord, and a lot of people loved it, and I hope it's up for some Game of the Year nods. But Metaphor ReFantazio, I did play some more today prior to the show.
Man, it's such a good game, bro.
Because I hadn't gotten any more time in it.
Yeah.
Except for that little bit. So now I got more time in it. Listen, if this is straight up, it's no joke. More people than just us out here are talking about this game from this demo. And again, this demo carries over. So technically, we are getting the full game because all of our stuff is going to.
It's just a beginning piece.
It's a beginning piece.
Yeah.
Again, if the quality is to this level throughout the entirety of 100 hours, 80 hours, it's probably going to be 150 for me if I ever wind up finishing it. If it's that quality all the way through and the story keeps going the way it is and everything lines up with what we're seeing in the initial, and I have 100% faith that Atlas, yes, because we are talking about peak Atlas. I've been saying this now for a couple of weeks.
They're on a run right now. They're on a run. If you look at the last 5-6 games,
this is what, again, we'll go back. This was what we experienced peak BioWare. We are now experiencing peak Atlas for those of us that are jumping into their games, right? This is a studio that just has mastered their craft, and they have a veteran group, a couple groups that can, because they're working on Persona 6 too at the same time right now. They've got a couple veteran groups that just get it, and they understand the formula, and they can create a brand new, the biggest, I'll leave it here. I could just sit here and talk about Metaphor ReFantazio. But the biggest compliment I can pay this game, and I've already said it a couple times, but this is my biggest compliment. They created a brand new IP that doesn't feel like a brand new IP. This feels like a third, fourth game in a series. That's how comfortable this game is to jump into. That's how comfortable the characters are. When you start finding out about the character, it feels like you've known these characters from other games previously. And it's not because they're copying Persona characters. It's not because, it's just a cut and paste game and they just reskinned everything. No. They definitely have a formula, but they took it and did a whole lot extra for Metaphor ReFantazio on top of what they've learned. And they took, again, Persona is, I would say, just so far, much more linear than Metaphor ReFantazio is.
Definitely,
just because you are in school, because that is the relationship building is like you're at school with friends and you're getting to meet new people. That's like a big part of it is talking to them and having conversations. Metaphor has some of that, but the world is so much bigger. And from the get-go, you're in the middle of some deep shit. You were in the middle of high fantasy, conspiracy, Games of Thrones type shit. And all the characters that you meet, the NPCs, are freaking interesting as hell. It is so well written, so well acted. But like I said, to me, the biggest compliment is I'm playing this game and it feels like I've been in this world before. It feels like I've played a Metaphor ReFantazio and I'm playing like number 3 in the list. Like it feels that way. Because that's how good Atlas is right now. It doesn't take you time to get yourself into this game in any way, shape, or form. You drop in. If you are a JRPG lover, if you are an Atlas lover, if you are somebody who understands the concept of what they do in the Atlas-style games, RPG-wise, you are already in all the way. There is no learning. The UI is absolutely freaking hands down one of the most beautiful things ever created in video games. It is unbelievable.
So let me tell you something before you get, because I'm going to talk about this too. Go ahead. My quick point. Just those menus. I've listen. So I was sitting on the menu screen and my wife came home. I had to get up and do something. She's like, babe, I come back in the room. She's like, what are you watching? I said, no, I'm playing a game. She said, it's not a movie. I said, no, it's not a movie. I'm playing a game.
Yeah.
And I'm moving the screen. She's like, babe, that looks like a watercolor painting. Like, bro, it's probably the most, in this, I don't even know if this is a thing. And I said it on Twitter. It's probably the best looking menu I've ever seen in any game. Like, I've never seen more aesthetically pleasing menus in any game ever. Yeah. Like, they're so aesthetically pleasing. They make sense. The level of detail that's been paid attention in this game. And you know me, I'm a brand new player to these types of games. I don't play Personas. I've dabbled here and there in Personas just to try and get an idea, but I didn't play for very long. I never really gave the game the chance to win me over. And I downloaded this not expecting anything. 4 hours later. Right? And it's just, oh my God. But I'm going to let you finish your point. I just had to talk about those menus, brother.
Yeah,
Holy moly.
No, that's what it is. And it translates directly. The entire game is a continuous work of art. Okay. When it comes to that, because that aesthetic that they have in the UI carries over into the main game.
Yep.
And it's not even like, oh, you have this beautiful UI, but then it's contrasted by, oh, you jump in the game world and it's completely different or whatever. No, it feels like it's all part of the game, even in the UI screens. Like, it is insane. And when you meet people for the first time, right, and you open up their archetypes and they do the
handshake.
Bro, I was taking screenshots today of a stupid handshake. And still, I'm like, bro, this is just so dope, man. This is so creative.
Oh,
it's
man,
unbelievable. Like, there has to be. I really seriously want developers to take a look at this, especially Western developers, and understand what we're talking about when we say the East. And I'm not shitting on Western developers, because Western developers make some really cool shit too. But I'm just saying the East has a style and this imagination and this creativeness that just, it's so out there sometimes, man. And that's why I love the Eastern games, even they're wacky, wild, and nuts, and people go, what the hell? You don't even know what's going on in this game. You're right. But it's just different. It's cool. But this right here, legit, is a whole kind of art gallery unto itself when you're playing this game. And so, yeah, I think when it's all said and done, I think Metaphor, I see Metaphor coming out to, at the lowest, it's going to be in the high 8s. I think
it's going to be 9s and 10s, bro. Like,
I think the sentiment right now, that hype that's kind of carrying over, and we know that reviewers are influenced by that as well. When the wave is generated, and it's generally a positive wave, and there's nothing outside.
There's no discourse. Yeah, there's no
discourse around this game. There's nothing to be upset about. Like, nothing. Like, like, this is one of those kind of clean games. And so I think that's going to carry to the reviews, and I think, yeah, we are looking at another 90. 90, whatever you want to say. Critic and Metacritic.
Yeah.
I think we'll be in the 90s. I think low 90s for sure. I think at the lowest high 8s, but I think it'll get there, and then you really got to consider it. I think this will be up for your conversation. Does it win over Astrobot? No, because I think Astrobot is the predetermined king. I don't think.
Well, you got Black Myth Wukong as well.
Yeah, but Astrobot's the write-in. It's done. It's over with. They had that. Jeff had that pencil.
You're a mess.
Bro, we all know. We all called it. We all knew it the minute it was announced.
You're this guy, Fuss. He said Jeff pulled that pen out like, oh, Astrobot got that down.
Dude, he had
look how many tweaks
he had. Yeah, Sony had him lit up already. They're like, Jeff, we got a new game coming out. He's like, what is it? He's like, they're like, Astrobot, and he's like, Game of the Year. Let's go. Let's go. He had already had that behind the scenes, man. It was all pre-planned. It's all set to go. But I think that it is going to be in the conversation, and it's going to win a lot of awards outside.
Oh, definitely.
The Keeleys. It'll win elsewhere. I think Metaphor really has the chance to be the surprise hit towards the end of the year that a lot of people jump into now, because let's be real too, Atlas has grown their fan base.
Absolutely.
Atlas's RPGs are now played by more people than they ever have been before. So that means more people are going to jump into this.
Yep. shout out to Phil and Co for going over there, doing the real footwork to get these games back on Xbox, right? Because we never seen Personas and things, just a handful of years ago. We didn't have these experience on Xbox. So shout out to the team over there, doing us a service. So let me go ahead and get my 3, and then we'll get into just some rapid fire stuff. I got 2 that are unpopular. I know they're not going to win. They're not even going to be nominated. But I want to give them the recognition that I feel like they deserve. Actually, it's 3 technically, but the third one's not in there either. So it's Helldivers 2, it's First Ascendant, and it's Power World. So the reason why I want to give those 3 games some just love, and they're not going to be. I don't think maybe Helldivers 2 will get a nomination. But those are all a stretch, in my opinion, just because of the kind of games that they are. They generally, even if they sell 1 million copies, they generally don't get the kind of critical acclaim that, most people would warrant for like a game of the year. But those games being new IPs, doing something different, changing the landscape. Those are some of the highest selling games we've had this year. They're some of the most controversial as well. But I love all 3 of them individually. For different reasons. And First Ascendant is a very special game for one, because it's the art style, the gameplay. It came out in a fairly good state, from a studio that hadn't really done that before. It's extremely impressive. Same thing with Power World. I know Helldivers 2 is the second one, but Helldivers 1 is nothing like 2 at all. Isn't the Helldivers 1 a top down shooter, right? Isn't it top down? Twin stick. Sorry, twin stick.
Twin stick,
but it's
top down. Yes.
Yeah, but it's nothing like 2 at all. Not anywhere near it. So the fact that they can execute these new ideas, Power World gets extra credit for saying fuck you to Nintendo and Pokemon, and just doing their thing and doing it in a good way. But notwithstanding, I wanted to make sure I give those games credit. I'm piggybacking off of you on this one, brother. And this is just for me being a noob. I don't play Persona games much, if any at all. So I came into this not knowing really anything, not knowing what to expect, and I was immediately blown away for every single reason that you just said, Pong. I've probably put 5-6 hours into the demo already, and I've loved every second of it. I didn't know what I was getting into. But from the characters, obviously the graphics, you talked about it. It's such a beautiful game. It's so polished, the world. And one thing, even for me being new, I didn't feel overwhelmed. That was my worry, Pong. That I was going to be overwhelmed by all the dialogue and all of the NPCs. And why do I got to talk to this person? And, I got to go over here and talk to this person. I thought I was going to feel like that was going to break the immersion and I was going to get boring. It didn't.
Nope.
The way they paced the story, that opening cutscene.
Oh, the anime is tough.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started. They could just make an anime.
Yeah.
They literally could just take all the cutscenes, put them together. Yep. That's a full-fledged, 60-minute movie.
Yep.
For sure. It's just it's so polished. The combat, you being able to, you can just do open combat. You can try and fight them that way depending on the enemy. You might be able to kid it in 2 or 3 hits and kill it. Or if it's a little too strong, it'll switch over into the more turn-based mode. And I thought that was going to be something that I didn't like. The way they were able to curate that, and it's seamless. It doesn't feel like I'm just standing there, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And that's always what I thought of RPGs, JRPGs specifically. There was one thing that I didn't really like, but the way they do this, the pacing, it's just everything. The menus, even little stuff like that, the environment. And this is only a small portion of the map, small portion of the world that we're going to be able to actually play in, Paul.
Yes.
I'm dying to see the other environments, the other, you know what I mean? I can't even. I don't know, Paul.
You remember from the videos of that they showed us that you get to ride in that big giant machine.
Oh,
the world.
Oh, that's just walking across.
Train ride.
Yeah, the one that's in it's like the main menu, the opening menu, I think, or just at the start menu. You'll see it kind of just
Yeah. So no, it's going to be an impressive game. And again, 80 hours, 100 hours if you do side.
Probably more than that if you.
For me, it's a 150-hour game. When I say
easy,
that, it's
easy
because of how I explore and how I go back. And I'm the dude that goes and levels up. I will go back and just grind and continue to level up in the easier levels. So I make sure that I'm at a good power when I meet the bosses and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and there's a lot of depth to this game too. Which depth. The archetypes, which are basically your personas. If you guys are familiar with Persona, right? Your demon personas. They got archetypes in this game, which is basically this same.
That's what got me too, because that felt like ARPG. That felt like Diablo and leveling up and picking the different classes and trying to figure out.
You can change
Oh,
out at any time and all that kind of
man.
stuff. Yeah, and there's a lot of them. There's
A lot
there's
of
a
them.
lot of them. Yes,
A lot of, and it's not, and I only have three characters so far, like three extra characters with me so far. I don't know what the full max party size is. It like 6 or 7? I don't remember what the
Yeah, I don't
full
know.
max party size is, but bro, like just everything from top to bottom, it's a very well made game, well put together, and extremely impressive to me. Just being a noob in the genre, just being a noob to Persona in general, extremely impressed. I'm buying the game, bro. I'm 100% sold, bro. I'm 100% sold. I'm probably gonna put a good, like you said, 100 hours into this game, and that's crazy for me to go from not knowing anything about Persona really and not really knowing what I'm gonna get into to feeling like this is absolutely on the gunner. It should be at least get a nomination, minimum get a nomination.
Right. Exactly. I think it will.
So.
So yep. Nope. Surprise,
Yep.
surprise. I was gonna hold off on this one until I.
You were for real?
Yeah, because I have so much to play. And my budget has been blown out of the water this year, and I was just like, nah, I'll just wait. Again, I got to make my Persona run at some point too. I made my Persona run, even though I played it back in the day on my PSP. But I got to make a Persona run. So I just was like, nah, I'll hold off. But playing the prologue, I'm like, nah, I gotta get it. No, we're gonna do this. So yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, man. Oh god, yeah, it's such a good game, bro. It's crazy that all three of us had that on our list. All three of us had it on our list. That's crazy, man. It's that good. And once again, chat, if you guys haven't played it, go play the demo. You can download it right now. It's on everything. If you never played a Persona game, you know what I mean, or you just dabbled in Persona like myself, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised when it's definitely not what you think it is. It's so much more than that. And you'll be pleasant. Just look, if you don't get stuck just staring at the start screen or the menus, and you're actually able to get into the game, you'll see that it's a fantastic game, man. But I had to ask you guys about our game of the years because we're getting around to that season, and we got other games coming out very, very soon. And these things are fluid. You know, those lists can change very quickly. But I think that's a pretty good list so far for me personally. But all right, so let's go ahead and just go into some rapid fire stuff, man. I don't really have any plans. This is more of like a mailbag show. Shout out to everybody watching MASH. Oh, and by the way, MASH, let me not be disrespectful. Let me go back. The train did arrive.
Yeah, choo-choo,
by the way,
choo-choo.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah,
Let's go. The Monster Bash. He came in here. He got us. He dropped off a little bag. He actually dropped off 2 bags of coal. I believe that was a 10. A nice, easy 10 dunk. That's right. He flushed that sucker through from the free throw line. What's going on, Monster Mash? Let's do this. He added 2 cars. That's right. 2 cars to the shop hype train. The shoppers. Welcome aboard, all you new shoppers. I hope you enjoy the ride. We are at a Mach 3.0, cruising along nice and easy, keeping us ad-free in 2024. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Choo-choo. Welcome aboard. Buckle in.
Welcome aboard, man. Appreciate you, Mash, for the 10 gifted, man. That's fucking amazing. You always show love. Every week you come here showing love. Greatly appreciate the gifted, man. But we can rapid fire some stuff, man. I'm out of topics. Like, that was my 3. Anything we didn't get into this week that you guys are interested in, chat, let us know too. We'll take some questions. We got a little time here. Pong Fuzz, anything on the list?
Well, one question that William Riggs, I think.
Oh,
asked,
good point. Go ahead.
The Sony buying Ubisoft at all? Any thoughts on it or something along those lines?
I believe
buying Ubisoft?
Yeah, he did say that.
Sony
Dude,
ain't buying shit.
they can't buy anything.
Oh, they can. They could certainly raise the. They could. They could raise the
Subway
funds.
sandwich.
Yeah. But Hiroki,
No,
Hiroki Totoki and that Sony Corp board ain't purchasing no big ass publishers
No.
especially publishers that have 20,000 employees that are going to result in up to a 40%
massive layoff.
cut. Right,
Massive.
Sony's not touching Ubisoft with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, no.
Now, the perfect time for them to have done that would have been before the ABK streaming deal. Like, there was a time, as much as I'm more of a Xbox fan, I was hoping that they would have considered them before Bungie, just for the fact that I know Assassin's Creed would probably be healthy. It would have been in Jade Raymond's hands after they acquired her studio. They could just hand it off to her. They could use the Tom Clancy license to make a SOCOM game, and that would be their counter to Call of Duty or something along those lines, just for competition's sake type of thing. I thought it would make the most sense. And the engines that they use, like Snowdrop, as well
Yep.
as the
Beautiful.
Nia engine for like the Far Cry games.
Mhm.
I think those would have been a good add for Sony as well and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
no, absolutely. I agree with that. No, Sony's not gonna buy Ubisoft. One, let's just get that out of the way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was a right and wrong. I don't know if there's a right time for them to do that. Like if we just hypothetically put that out there, and I like that idea though, Fuzz. They do fit some of the things that Sony would not necessarily need, but just way better than Bungie. Bungie, and that's why I still think Bungie was more of a knee jerk. Like we just need to get somebody, and they're the first person that was interested.
Well, and they had the expertise in games,
expertise as well too, game of service stuff.
That's what Jim was focused on, right?
Yeah,
and that was he was obsessed.
So focused that he didn't even see the books.
Yeah. He overlooked the cookbooks, bro. He overlooked them. But yeah, no, that's definitely. I just don't think Sony would ever touch that many employees, that big of a publisher that was bloated like that. It just for how they do things.
And so another thing too, they don't have the greatest approval rating. It's extremely low at this point. Not only are you probably going to hemorrhage money to try and retain the talent that you want while laying off a massive amount of people, that's not going to look good in the public eye. Sony doesn't like bad press. They don't want to be attached to 8,000 people being laid off. They've already done it with a couple thousand before, but I'm sure they don't want to be attached to that on top of all of the things. Now, let's be fair here. I do think that if that happened, all of a sudden, a large group of people will look at Ubisoft in a favorable way.
Yeah.
I do think, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if anything, I think Sony is probably the only ones that could lay off that amount of people without it being as much of a negative story.
I don't know. That's a lot of people, though, Fuzz.
I know, but it would have been spun in a way that it would have benefited the overall for Ubisoft and Sony. I think, like I said, when they have, i.e. bad news, it sometimes gets brushed under the rug, or it's like a page 12 type of story as opposed to front page news. But Xbox has a fart, and it's like, oh, it's headlines everywhere. For the next
they laid off the janitor. Get him out of here. Phil needs to be fired.
Yeah. So they're, as far as what I can see, they're one of the few that could have gotten away with it. We'll see what Tencent does. I don't think anybody's going to make too much of a big to do if Tencent
absolutely
that amount of layoffs either. But that's because of where they're based out of. So it's not going to be as big in our news cycle over here.
Yeah. Well, another thing about Tencent too is that I just don't like. The only thing about Tencent that I worry about, and we talked about this, is that they're collecting Infinity Stones, so to speak, right, for lack of a better term. And we talked about that, them meticulously or methodically, I would say that's probably a better word, grabbing studios, grabbing devs, IPs, them investing in Epic and all these other places and getting majority shares in these large publishers. Like them grabbing Ubi as a whole would be like, whoa, like. Look at that, look at that portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would necessarily want that.
Yeah, but I mean, again, nothing's going to change except for no matter what happens, even if Yves and the family stay in power, again, nothing's going to change. It's shit because of them and the leadership that they have there. That all has to be cleaned out.
That's true.
Nothing's going to change. Even if they take it private, they're still going to have to do massive cuts. They're not going to be able to afford the bloat as it stands because they've got no lifelines. Okay, there's no lifelines. If they do this and they pull it private, they've got nothing in the works. AC Shadows is not going to save this company.
No,
it's not. Right now, it's probably the way that it's trending. It's not going to even match Valhalla, and I'm sure they were expecting it to do above Valhalla.
Valhalla did like 10 million, which is crazy.
It was $1 billion. It was $1 billion game, right?
Yeah.
So they expected way above that because it's going to Japan, which is a setting that everybody's been asking for a long time. So there is no lifeline. So unless somebody comes in over the top and buys out both Tencent and Yves and his family and gets Yves out of there and the leadership can be swept out along with, unfortunately, the cuts that are going to happen no matter what or who grabs Ubisoft, I don't think anything changes. The last one I'll throw out there, Mav and I talked about it. Mav brought it up. There was a little move this week by Amazon. Amazon brought out of somewhere, I don't know where they went and kidnapped him from, but Jay Allard got hired by Amazon.
Wow. I didn't see that.
Yes. Jay Allard was hired by Amazon this week. And he said, I've got nothing to announce right now, but I'll be working on things. Listen, you don't go get a hardware dude like Jay Allard, who has a proven track record in the video game sector, unless you're thinking about something. This could be
Making a move?
the first signs that Amazon's looking at the future, right, of the next gen, what it's all shaping up to be, now where Xbox is going, what Microsoft is doing, and seeing that everything's going digital, everything's going cloud. They have AWS, which we talk about consistently, is the obviously the biggest, even over Azure.
Yep.
They've seen the benefits that Microsoft has received by having Xbox,
and they have more experience because they've dipped their toes in for a little while now.
Toes in for publishing. They understand the publishing world. They had some successes. They had some failures. Maybe it's time. Then Amazon is flipping that switch. And if there's one company that we said all along outside of, there's two companies, Apple
and Amazon, yep,
that can flip the switch in an instant, has the resources to go buy big publisher or 2 or 3, start creating hardware and jump into this full force. Well, this could be the first signs. And they could be looking over at Ubisoft at the value there. And they could come in with a big enough, again, they would pay the premium.
Easy.
They would pay the premium like Microsoft.
Dropping a bucket for Amazon,
ABK, but they could pay the premium, and it would be enough to pull it out from underneath Tencent and the Yves and his family and call it a day and pull in Ubisoft. Because, again, also Ubisoft's IP, they've already worked with it, transmedia side of things. They could take even more advantage of that, having it in-house and owning all that IP for their movies, for their TV shows. It could be a first big bomb for Amazon. I don't count them out.
Okay. You reading them? You dealing at them same tea leaves Fuzz have, huh? He shared.
Me and Mav were on fire.
Okay, yeah, he shared the tea leaves around. I see you been passing them out.
The thing is weird. Right?
That is.
Again, that's like what Jay Allard. What Amazon's bringing in Jay Allard? Like, okay, cool, because Jay Allard's a cool dude, right? He's an awesome guy. But why else are you bringing him in right now? What
hardware guy?
Yeah, he's a hardware guy.
Yeah.
They could be working on it. They could be working on handheld. They could see the handheld market right now.
Man, it's interesting. I hadn't even considered that from a handheld standpoint. But yeah, no, I do agree with you on that. I don't know. I mean, Ubisoft is such an intriguing publisher, though. We've seen them. They've literally gone from grace to shit. There was a period of time where Ubisoft could do no wrong. They were on top of the world. They had these billion-dollar IPs. They were cooking, hit after hit after hit. It's been a little while though, since they've, been in that position, and so it makes them volatile, right? For a lot of companies, they are valuable because they have a lot of valuable pieces. They have a lot of valuable assets, but those assets aren't the public. The approval rating for those assets aren't necessarily at their highest at this point. Like Assassin's Creed, people love it, but it's not where it used to be as far as public opinion, right? It's kind of shaking and it's falling down a little bit.
Yes, because of what they listen.
Well, yeah, no, it's
temporary. Assassin's Creed can come back at any time, right? It's temporary.
But would you agree with what I said though, as far as where it was at one point? Correct. Okay. So
yeah. I mean, again, yes, of course. That's what I was saying. I don't
got it. Okay.
They probably expected AC Shadows at one point to outperform Valhalla. I don't think that they're expecting that anymore.
No,
I don't think that. I think they think it's going to fall below. I think it's a combination too that you got to figure in there. PTK underperforming Avatar game. Which is a licensed IP, big IP, costs them a lot of money to make, underperforming. Star Wars Outlaws, underperforming, big licensed IP, lots of money. One of your best studios working on that, while their main game, The Division, is nowhere to be found, a new one, right? So they've wasted a lot of time and money on those two games right there that underperform for them. And then the big one is Skull and Bones. We got word this week, it could be potentially Skull and Bones cost that company $750 million.
Wow.
Almost.
Remember, that was a quadruple A game, according to Eves, right? That was that game was
9 years of
4A.
development. Yo, again, these failures, those cost the other divisions within a company. When you have those underperforming titles, and then you have something like Skull and Bones, which probably doesn't have enough legs to last maybe a couple years max, and you spent $750 million. and you got no games in the works in the pipeline now that look like they're going to recover what they need to recover. AC Shadows, I don't want to see the price tag on it. 3,000 up to 3,000 developers is the rumor worked on AC Shadows. Are you kidding me? You know that's probably a $500 million project. Like, this is going to be a big. This is why the stock prices are where they are. But this is a big hole that Ubisoft has dug themselves into right now. So, sucks.
No, facts, 1,000%, 1,000%. It's just such an interesting dev though, and like I said, they've got
Mash, not 75 million, 750 million, 750 million, 750 million, not 75 million. 75 million would be a great value.
Yeah, 75 million. They wouldn't be. I don't think. I mean, they would be a little upset about it, but it wouldn't be 750. You had a zero on that. That's a completely different tier.
Ballpark. That's a stratosphere, bro.
Yeah,
you're talking about, again, like you said, they were promoting it like a AAA game.
No, quadruple A. This is Eve's out of his own mouth. Yeah,
that they were trying. That they've redesigned a minimum of 4 times. That they redesigned, potentially 5. Yeah, no.
Imagine.
Yep,
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So I think we're gonna probably go ahead and wrap it up on that note, man. It is. We're winding the show down here, but we've had a phenomenal show, man. This has been so fun. This is like old school shop podcast, right? First like 50 episodes, just super fast paced, and I appreciate it. But shout out to the chat. You guys have been amazing. All of the super chats, all of the love you guys showed us here tonight, man. Amit, Mash, appreciate the gifteds. Mav, we got family pull up, FSP love in the house, Umbra, everybody. Mama Sita came through. But once again, you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying all of the content. We will be back, like I said, next week. We do this every single week. We'll probably have a couple guests next week. Since we didn't have any this week, I'm going to do my best to grab a couple people and see if I can get them on. But I got to get my guy some shine here, man. Fellas.
Quick
go ahead.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, just quick point. Something that doesn't get pointed out enough. Metaphor Refantasio, because we were talking about it, is a play anywhere game. They're not advertising it, and I don't know why Xbox doesn't do a better job of this. What that means is you buy the PC version, you've got the Xbox version. You can play it anywhere, okay? So the cross-buy is in effect for Metaphor Refantasio, right? The same goes for the
Pixel
Final
remasters.
the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters too, which, oh, by the way, this week we found out number 12 on the sales charts for Xbox in the United States. Top 10 for Germany, number 1 over in Japan on Xbox. Right? So Don't tell me people don't buy JRPGs on Xbox. Listen, y'all, they are this is what we talked about. You're going to see Metaphor sell extremely well on Xbox. Why? Because Sega and Atlus cultivated a fan base after years and decades of ignoring Xbox. They cultivated the fan base by bringing the personas over, putting them in the Game Pass, getting people to understand why they're so popular, and Xbox fans are eating them up. Metaphor is going to sell extremely well. The fact that Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters is selling already shows why Square made the deal that they did, why they brought the manas into Game Pass so you can play the older manas so that you can start to learn who they are and why their games are popular. Obviously, Square is trying to follow suit with Sega, and it's working already. There is a fan base here. So that narrative, again, is just another one of those fake ones that everybody drove home. It is what it is, right? But I just want to point out that they are play anywhere games, which is super awesome, right? And it is a benefit that only Xbox's ecosystem has, and I think they're expanding it more because neither one of those two games. Normally that comes with Game Pass deals. Neither one of those two games are Game Pass games. So that
relationship's getting better, man.
And they're cutting side deals with these third parties to start doing that. That costs money, people. Yeah. That's not an easy sell because you got to figure out how many sales you're going to lose by allowing somebody to have one license work both on PC and Xbox, right? I don't know how they do that, but that's still a sell to a third party developer that you're going to somehow make a deal. I think it's huge because I think going forward into next gen, as they open up this ecosystem, as they might do this hybrid system where other ecosystems are involved, I think that might become a bigger priority for them to have as part of their deals with third-party publishers. And I think Sarah and Phil are doing a great job in the East right now, visiting everybody. There was a lot of hoopla about that, and creating these open door situations where we're getting this stuff coming in. So,
and we're seeing it in real time. There's real proof. You can see it, the pictures, the constant Xbox Japan being way more active, all the pictures, all of the, just it's happening, man. Then the last 3 or 4 years, like you said, Sega from the Personas, to the what's the other
Yakuza.
the Yakuza's, the Yakuza's the other one. Just, I mean, it's only getting better, man. It's a lot going on over here, man. The ecosystem's not dying. It's getting better every single year, man. They're adding things, but I want to make sure I let you guys get the get your full outros here, man. But I appreciate you two gentlemen. We had another phenomenal show, but we'll just piggyback off of you, Pong, since you were already, But yeah, brother, another great show. Rapid fire this time, just kind of some random topics and fun stuff, bro. But let everybody know where they can find you.
Love it, love it, love it, man. What a great way to end the Saturday night. Great way to end the podcasting week right here with two of my favorite people in the whole entire world, UPTK and, of course, Fuzzy, and some amazing, absolutely favorite people in the chat as well. Familiar faces, but also newer faces, some old faces. Love to see it. Don't know what made you guys come out this week, but please come back.
Appreciate it.
Next week and see us
hang out with us. Yeah,
love it, man. Love to see it. Energy's high. Lots of good gaming going on right now. So many games, and it's the end of the year is just starting to ramp up. We've got weeks and weeks of new releases here that are going to be absolutely amazing, and we're going to talk about them right here on this show, the Shop Podcast, every Saturday night, where I will sell you one of those games as I do my intros. But thank you all for coming out. Nothing but love and respect for all the support that you guys do show, not just here, but everywhere that you guys are. So thank you all for that. You know how to find me, Pong Soul, on the X, formerly known as Twitter, Pong Soul on the Xbox, Pong Soul on GOG, Steam, Epic, you name it. Find me. I'll follow you back. Otherwise, next week, I always shout this man out because he's done so much for the community, but Double Barrel Gaming is a channel. Boomstick is the man 5 days a week, but Tuesdays, it's all good things green on the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm not on Boom's shows anymore, but I still promote this one because it's got a special place in my heart. So go check out that crew over there on Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time for all good things green. But my podcasting week starts Thursday night with Mav, the Fun Speculation Network CEO. That's right. He gives me the lead chair. I take the show over for PM in the PM every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, 2-man show. We get the chat involved. We go for about 3+ hours. It's a great time on Thursday nights where Mav and I catch up. So join us there for PM in the PM. And then Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate, where the family gets together. Don't ever know how many of us are going to be there, but we always have a good time with lots of laughs, lots of good talk. Also on the Fun Speculation Network. Again, that's the Xbox Ultimate. So on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, be there for that. And then Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen. Split Screen's all one word. Myself.
Shout out to Steel.
Steel Rain. That's right. The man, the myth, the legend that is Steel Rain, who is playing a ton of games. The dude's ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man.
Yo, man, a guy I love his. He even plays.
I love Steel, man. Like, I really do, man.
He doesn't like he tried we talked him into trying Metaphor, and he actually broke it down beautifully this morning. It's still not going to be for him because of the combat.
That's okay.
But he gave praise to the game and said he understood why so many people are talking highly about it and some of the really good parts of the game.
Yeah.
He did talk about
I love Steel for that.
Yeah,
I love that, man.
He tries, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can join us every Saturday. Again, Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3+ hours. We went 4.5 today. Sometimes it's 5, like we're crazy, but it just depends what we got going on. But Living Split Screen every Saturday morning. Join us there. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming. Please, everybody, get out there. Enjoy it. Play what you love. Love what you play. Have a great rest of your weekend. Keep the people in the hurricanes, the flooding, all that. Please keep them in your prayers. A little extra energy, man. Got another one coming towards Florida, it looks like. So listen, y'all, it's not pretty down there, but please just make a little extra time for that and just say a little extra thank you for the life that you've got and for those people down there who are going through a really hard time right now. Otherwise, love you all, and I'll talk to you all real soon. PTK, go ahead, brother.
Appreciate you, man. And you guys know what to do. Go follow Pong on the socials. All of that stuff is down below. The links, everything. The YouTube channel. Go check out all the shows he's on. Shout out to Boom. Shout out to Steel. Shout out to Mav, the generals of their respective shows, man. But appreciate you, Pong, every single week, brother. You are truly the battery of the Shop Podcast, man. You bringing that energy every single week, and love you, bro. And so my boy, my other brother, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, another phenomenal show, man. Wrapped it up. Some good topics this week. Some new faces, old faces in chat, man. But let everybody know where they can find you, man, from your remote location.
As always, it's always an awesome time being on here with you two. Just love chopping it up over the weekend and catching up on the gaming news and just what we've been up to and stuff like that. Always love doing this every Saturday night with you guys. And thanks to the chat for coming out. Greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. Always appreciate it. If you can, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for that. And for those that want to hear my endless rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app, formerly known as Twitter, at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Pixelated Echoes. Well, actually, before Pixelated Echoes, I'll be on Web Dave's show for a little bit.
Oh, nice. Shout out to Dave.
Yeah, so catch that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Web Dave's channel. And then right afterwards, I'm going to hop back over to Pixelated Echoes with 3-Bit. We'll be on there around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echoes. Then Monday at 12 noon for Xbox Lunch Break Special with Mr. Boomstick on Double Barrel Gaming. Once again, that's 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And then FSP later on that night at actually a new time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. Definitely check us out for that, and hope that everybody that's here in the chat today will be right back here on Saturday next week at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on next Saturday night. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Man, appreciate your fuzz, man. My brother coming through, bringing that smoothness from the remote location, man. But we love having you here, bro. Every single week show wouldn't be what it is without you, brother. So you guys make sure you do me a favor. Go follow these two awesome gentlemen, my brothers. Go show them the love and respect that they deserve, man. They're on a bunch of different shows. They do such a phenomenal job everywhere they go. So please make sure you go show them, follow them, do all of that good stuff, man. Support these two awesome gentlemen, man. And last but not least, the host here, your boy PTK Blam. That is PTK Blam across the board, from YouTube to Twitter to Xbox. Everywhere is going to find me there. Once again, I appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us, all the familiar faces, the new faces, everybody that just watches on the replay. Appreciate you guys too in the future. But we will be back here, like Fuzz said. And if you want to get your gaming fix, it's a great place to come hang out. You know what I mean? Just have a good time, get some real knowledgeable, good gaming talk. That's what you're going to get here at the Shop Podcast, man. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. I love you all. We will be back next week, same time, same place. So see you guys then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. Peace out, everybody.